North Carolina large project updates for 2025. Anybody have any? Anne's clapping her hands, so she's ready.
No, I want to hear, because we need to know what is happening.
I know up in Conover, North Carolina, Apple has bought some land, Microsoft has bought some land, and Microsoft has now started working up there now. Yellow Steel came in, we followed in behind them last week, so that project started. And the only reason I know that Apple bought it was they're doing some building around my house, and I noticed, oh shit, somebody just acres. So that's two that I know of.
We got the M71 road in Ferris County pipeline project. A lot of it's road shoulders, so it affects the utilities. Tell me what county's T15 when that kicks off.
I'm not sure.
You don't sure what counties? Somebody on this side of the state. Tell me the T15 project. Get some information.
If we can make sure we're talking loud enough for everyone online to hear. Sorry.
Anyone else? All right, the pilot program for improving gas GIS information with GNSS and RTK locating.
That would be Lindsay.
Lindsay?
That was actually Will. That's something they're doing up there. And he was the one that discussed that at the last meeting.
Okay. I know he's in class in Tennessee. So going on to officer report, Miss Lindsay.
Sorry, I'm not there in person, everybody. All I have is, which will roll into the new business, registration for general registration and vendor registration is open for the joint conference. I'm just waiting on some information for the locating class, and as soon as I have that, we will get the agenda posted for the conference. Attendance so far is looking good, and as far as vendors, we have just a few vendor tables left available. So if you are interested in being a vendor, I would encourage you to get signed up pretty quickly for that. And then our golf outing, and I know Tim is there in person. He can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're at about half full or a little over half full for the golf outing.
Yes, that's exactly correct. Yes.
Hey, Tim, can you mention on that golf outing, will there be transportation or how will that work?
We're still trying to iron the transportation part out. We do have 2 shuttles at the hotel that we can use. Since registration is not complete with everyone, we really don't know exactly how many people we will need to be transporting and all. If we do provide that, let me say that there's still, like I said, we're still a lot of empty spots there. So if you would, how about going ahead and getting registered so we can get this thing moving a little quicker if we could. We do, as far as the rooms, we have about 50 rooms left to sell. So if you want to stay there at the Lumina, you better make a reservation real quick, or those are going to run out very fast. I'll go ahead and give an update on the vendors as well. Looks like we're looking at about 27 vendors currently. So there's a few spots left for that, as well as some open sponsorships. So get your name out there, get some sponsorships going, and let's get the ball rolling.
Tim, how many vendors? I think we only have 33.
We have 35 spots available. Okay. Now, if we do have, more than 35, we may can accommodate. We can probably push some stuff around to accommodate.
And I'll add on, again, the transportation. We didn't have a lot that got on it last year, 2 years ago. And this year the cost tripled from what it normally is for transportation. So that's why the question, if you're playing golf, do you want transportation, is yes or no? Because we've got 2 buses that the hotel will provide. And if it gets too many, I'll look into that a little further. But that was the big deal there. And again, guys, remember that if you are a vendor with 7, 8 tables left, and then the rooms, we booked the whole hotel. So once those rooms are gone, there is nothing left at that hotel. Lindsay, do you have anything else? I know.
No, that's all I had. Thank you.
All right, thanks. I know Will's not on. Miss Sandra?
Okay. We began with, our bank balance was $14,606.35. And since we started taking registrations in and people have paid, I have moved monies over, and at present, our checking account is $69,225.91.
What the number we talked about last time. Okay. All right, we kind of hit on this already for new business, for the joint. Lindsay, is there anything else you wanted to bring up on that?
Not at this time. No, like I said, as soon as I have that information for the locating class, to put on the agenda, I will get that sent to Ann and we will get that sent out to everybody on the constant contact and get it posted on the website.
All right, thanks. Guys, all the events will be there. There are, unlike at Cherokee, there are a lot of little restaurants and other places to book if we do sell out. So I just want to let everybody know it's open. The faster you get there and get registered, even for the committee, it makes it easy because you heard the big jump, but we got to pay for the whole entire hotel. We have to pay for golf. We have to pay for a lot of stuff up front. So we're just trying to make sure if you're going, we need to know that you're going. And do you have anything else, or I know next we're going to open discussion.
Well, let me give you kind of a little bit of insight so far of what we planned for you for the conference, and I think you're going to find that it's going to be very beneficial. We have some wonderful topics. The very first topic that we're going to kick the conference off with is just an overview of Western North Carolina. You know, what happened, some of the insights from some of our operators that have dealt with, trying to get things back up and running. So we've actually allotted that roundtable about an hour and a half because we feel like there's so much information to talk about, and hopefully, a lot of great photos and how things are going as of today. So we'll kick off our conference. Next, we're going to have, we always have reports from South Carolina 811 and North Carolina 811. So both of our executive directors will be on kind of giving you a state of the union from both North and South. So I know we've got Lewis on the call as well. Then our keynote speaker, we've talked with him before, and when we had our last conference, we weren't able to get him kind of married into that conference at the time due to scheduling. But we've got Dennis Gillian. He's coming to be our keynote speaker, and I think you'll really get a lot out of that. And I know we're all dealing with mental health issues, whether you believe it or not. We all are dealing with the stress of meeting job responsibilities, balancing our work life. So it's so very important that we focus on our mental health. And so we have Dennis, he's going to talk about getting out of a mental trench. He's got a pretty dynamic story. He had two brothers that lost their lives to suicide. And so we're really looking forward to really hearing what he has to say, taking it back and applying it into our everyday lives. We also are very grateful that we do have Chris Ann Kerr coming from CGA, and she's going to be discussing the goal of reducing damages, so 50 and 5. And so we're excited to have her. All of that is, happening on that very first day of Thursday, a full schedule that day. So I hope that you all will definitely join us for that. And then on Friday, what we've got going on is we've talked with both the North Carolina and the South Carolina fiber contacts within the state that is managing these fiber overbuilds with the grant money. So we've got Butch Zedler with North Carolina. So if anyone's dealt with him, and then Cedric Keat from South Carolina. So they're working together to provide us some overview of what the projects look like, how they're handling it in South Carolina versus North Carolina. So we're excited to have them come. We'll also give our South Carolina UCC an update and also the North Carolina update as well. And then we've got some, great speakers talking about some technology, locating and mapping technology. We've got some folks from SAM, John Hannell and Andrew Costell. They're going to be there. And then finally, we're working on a topic of distracted driving. I know even today coming in, there was just like constant, little pockets of, traffic. And so it can be very distracting. If you've not been to Raleigh in a while, you're used to maybe, this being open and now it's closed. Of course, that's about everywhere you go in North Carolina. So we're really wanting to focus on some distracted driving too as well. And we're working on that. Our social time, we're going to have a great dinner for you guys. Hopefully have some great entertainment for you too as well on Thursday night. So that kind of gives you an overview. I hope that seems exciting for you. And we certainly look forward to you all being here and being a part of that conference. So as Sean said, if you have not signed up, it's so very important that you get your hotel accommodations. And then also, if you've not registered for golf, we certainly would love to have you there. All right, any questions on that? As soon as we kind of nail down a couple little more items, we will put the agenda up, and I feel like that you'll start seeing a lot of municipalities hop on board, folks that really need those agendas to get approval. So let me know if we can help you on that. All right.
Thanks. Roger? Your introduction here. Hey, you got time to burn?
No, I did. Lindsay reached out, and Ian reached out to me, I guess, about a month ago or so now, and as everyone knows, we've got a new commissioner of labor for the Department of Labor, Luke Farley. Asked if he could be here today. Myself and Sammy's assistant got it set up where he could be here for just, a few minutes or so. His schedule is really tight. And, but at this time, I'm gonna introduce, I'm gonna say he's my friend, but I'm gonna also say he's our friend. That's Commissioner Luke Farley.
I'm definitely your friend. Guess I'll talk here. So I assume this group knows better than most who the labor commissioner is, but I tell you, since I've taken this job, I find people really only know one thing about it. Does anybody want to guess what that one thing is?
Elevators?
Yes, thank you. That's the one thing anybody knows about the labor commissioner. And so despite the fact that in reality I am the state's safety guy, for most of the population, I am the elevator guy. And that's okay because that starts a conversation, right? Because if you say, well, this guy's in the elevator, the taxpayers must pay him to do something else besides have his picture in the elevator. So that's kind of an entree into a conversation about safety, which is the #1 job of the North Carolina Labor Commissioner. We do lots of things at the Department of Labor. I mean, overall, we're there to protect the workforce of North Carolina. You know about the elevators. We also inspect the amusement rides. We inspect boilers and pressure vessels. An improperly maintained commercial boiler can explode like a bomb and kill people. We enforce the state's wage and hour law, state's anti-discrimination law. All of that is within the Department of Labor. But the #1 responsibility of the commissioner in the end is the health and safety of North Carolina's workers. Half of our budget and half of our employees are dedicated solely to employee safety. And for me, it's the biggest responsibility. I get the notifications pretty much instantly when somebody is killed on the job. I read the reports. They are tough things to read. And it reminds you how serious of a job you have as the state's labor commissioner. So the first thing I want to say, though, is thank you to y'all. You are working to make North Carolina a safer place for our workers. This is a huge service that 811 provides. Before doing this job, I was a lawyer in private practice doing workplace safety law, and I had several opportunities to work on cases that involved 811. And so to me, it's a huge thing for the state to have this sort of clearinghouse where people can figure out whether they're excavating where things that are, where there are things that are dangerous. So I want to thank y'all for your engagement on this. You are making North Carolina a safer place to work so that everybody goes home safe at the end of the workday, right? That's kind of the sort of long and short of my mission as your labor commissioners, to make sure everybody goes home safe at the end of the workday. What I want to hear people say when they walk through the door isn't just, honey, I love you, but honey, I'm home. Every day, there's a chance that somebody doesn't come home, and that's what motivates me as labor commissioner. Now, I am new on the job. I only took over 2 months ago, but we have already started implementing a 3-point plan to improve worker safety in North Carolina. I want to tell y'all a bit about it, because I'm a big believer in the idea that workplace safety is a matter of really a 3-pronged approach. You can't just do one of the 3 for safe workplaces. So you've got enforcement. That's what everybody knows about the department. We are the OSHA enforcement agency for the state. When somebody doesn't do what they're supposed to do, they get a citation and a penalty. That's enforcement. But that's only part of what we need to do for safe workplaces. We also need education and recognition. And those 3 things, I truly believe, working together in concert with each other will make us a safer state to work in. So we are looking to improve all 3 of those prongs. The first, when it comes to enforcement, is we've got inspector vacancies. For OSHA workplace safety inspectors, those vacancies hover around 25%. It is hard for me to do my job protecting the workers of North Carolina if I don't have a fully staffed department. Now, this is common across private sector, public sector, everywhere in state government. There just are not enough qualified people to do the jobs we need done. And being an OSHA inspector is a tough job, right? Especially if you're someone who's regularly investigating fatalities. You may be seeing as many, deaths as a homicide detective, and sometimes at least as, frankly, brutal. And so they're tough jobs to attract people to. And for that reason, I have said we need an across-the-board 10% pay increase targeted to our COSHOs, Compliance, Safety, and Health Officers, the OSHA inspectors. Now, I need the General Assembly to help me with that. I cannot just unilaterally give a 10% pay raise, but I have made that ask, and I am hopeful that they'll partner with me and make this investment in the safety of North Carolina's workers. So that's step 1 is we got to fill the vacancies. We have to have a fully staffed department so that we can be doing the compliance side of workplace safety. But it doesn't end there. It's not just enough to cite people after they've already done something wrong. I would much front of the problem and helps people prevent something from going wrong in the first place, right? Because in the end, the goal is safety and to keep people from being injured, not punishing people after somebody has already been injured. And so that's where the other 2 prongs come in. Education. We have fantastic education programs at the Department of Labor. Has anybody ever used any of the educational programs that we have at NCDOL, other than Roger Hutchinson? We have fantastic programs, and I am basically here as an evangelist for them. I want you to know about them, and I want you to take advantage of them, and I also want to grow them. So we have something called the Educational and Technical Assistance Bureau. You can call them up, and they will tell you how to interpret and understand a workplace safety standard. This is totally free. They are there to help you do what you're doing better. But I think by far the best educational program that we have is called consultative services. Has anybody ever heard of this? But anybody taking advantage of it? So please take advantage of this. It is the best thing we have going at the Department of Labor to improve workplace safety. So when you think of an OSHA inspector, they come in, they look around your job site or they outside, they look at your excavation, properly benched or sloped, whatever. If it's not right, you get a citation. There's another way to do that. There's a better way to do that, and I'm hoping you take advantage of this. You call the Department of Labor. We come out and we inspect your job site, and we show you where things have fallen short. And if you fix those things within a certain amount of time, it's no harm, no foul, no citation, no penalty. All because you voluntarily called us out there. Now you can go even a step further, become a Carolina Star site. Is anybody familiar with the Carolina Star sites? So that's even a step further. It's a longer process, but the best thing about it is if you get yourself certified as a Carolina Star site, you come off the list of people who get random OSHA inspections. You're not going to randomly show up on the job site for somebody who is a Star site. Now, if there was an injury reported or something like that, we would have to come out. But back to consultative services, this is a fantastic program. Part of the problem, though, is that right now the average wait time from you calling us to us being out there is 95 days. And that is way too long as far as I'm concerned. For those people who are responsible enough to say, I want the Department of Labor on my job site by choice, they shouldn't be waiting 95 days for us to get there. I mean, if this is truly about safety, there's a lot that can go wrong in that 95-day window. So we are trying to cut that wait time to less than half, to 45 days. But again, I've made a funding request to the General Assembly to add about 6 new positions in consultative services. We believe those 6 new consultants will allow us to get out there in half the time. But if I'm successful in that, I need your help in keeping those positions, because if y'all aren't using the services, the General Assembly will just take away the positions. So I need help in the industry to say, yes, we will take advantage of this if you put it out there and make it available to us and make it available more quickly. So please, take advantage of consultative services. You can call me directly if you want, and I will get you hooked up with the right people. You don't have to go through sort of the department bureaucracy. That's how much I want this program taken advantage of. And I'll just give you all my cell phone number real quick. For anybody who wants to use it, don't call it now. It's sitting on that table, and I won't be able to get to it. But it's 984-301-4574. 984-301-4574. That brings me directly. If you want to take advantage of consultative services, you call that number, and I will put you directly in touch with the people in charge, so you can kind of skip to the front of the line, because I'm that big of a believer in it. Sir?
Not just job site, but they also do procedures,
Right.
operation services. What program do you need in place for your job specific?
Yes, right, right. Well, they'll help you with a particular job site assessment and your procedures. It's the best thing we got going, because we're not, those people, they're not there to cite you, they're there to help you. And there is a firewall between the citation people and the consultative people. You know, one doesn't talk to the other. So you can feel totally confident in bringing our consultative services people out there to help you, because it's not like they're going to call up their buddies in compliance and say, man, you should see what I just saw at the City of Raleigh job site or something like that. But our initiative there is to cut the wait time so that you feel more comfortable taking advantage of it. The other thing that I have found is, for a lot of people, the idea that you would voluntarily invite the Department of Labor to come to your job site seems like a crazy thought. But part of the reason I come to meetings like this is because I believe that the first thing you need to have is trust that the Department of Labor is here to help you do your job better. And the only way you can have that trust is if I get out there and let you meet the leadership of the department. You can hear it from the horse's mouth about where I'm coming from and what I'm trying to achieve. For most people, they want to run the other way when the Department of Labor comes. I want to change that perception. You know, there are bad apples out there, and they're going to get citations and penalties when they don't look after their workers. I think that's a minority of the businesses and companies out there. For everybody else, they are going to find in the Department of Labor a willing and ready partner to build safer workplaces. Now, the last piece of this 3-point plan that I have is to increase recognition. Like I said, most people think the Department of Labor is here to tell you when you have done something wrong. And I think there has been too much emphasis at the Department of Labor about reminding you and citing you when you've done something wrong. I would like to have both a carrot and a stick approach to workplace safety. So yes, the citations are the sticks, and there are people who will not get the message about workplace safety without a citation. I saw them in my own private law practice. I know they exist. But for everybody else, we want to encourage you, and we want to recognize you when you do the right thing. We have some fantastic recognition programs that I want to grow. We have, as I mentioned, the STAR program. Again, one of the best things we have going for workplace safety. This is a voluntary program that you enter into. The standards are very high. OSHA comes in, they help you, they make sure they do an evaluation. We make sure that your injury and illness rate is 50% less than the industry average for whatever industry you're in. We use a NAICS code for that. But if you meet these high standards, you get certified as a STAR site and you come off the random inspection list. Because we know if you've gone through that entire process, you take workplace safety, and we're not going to waste our time randomly inspecting people who've gone above and beyond. But again, this is a sort of a staffing problem here. There are close to 400,000 private businesses in North Carolina.
Sorry, we have to stretch. It's part of the requirement, 30 minutes. We have to stretch. So you're fine. Keep
Yeah,
talking.
we're not leaving or anything. We're
Okay,
just-
I guess you do take workplace safety seriously.
Yes.
And so, regain my train of thought. Sorry, I've never had that happen. I'm a professional speech giver at this point. I've had cell phones go off, dogs bark, people walk out.
So in other words,
I have
get
never
down
had-
and give us 10.
Yeah, I've never had anybody do a stretch break. But the thing with STAR sites, though, is we've got 400,000 private businesses in the state, more if you count public employers, but there are only 127 STAR sites. Part of that is because y'all are not requesting to be STAR site, and I need your help in fixing that. Part of that is that we just don't have enough consultants to do these long surveys and to sort of monitor your progress. And so that is going to take a partnership of me and you. You need to ask to be a STAR site, you need to ask for consultative services, and I need to get those services to you quicker and have more people providing them. It is very helpful for me to make the argument to the General Assembly that I have got more demand than supply. Right now, I'm not sure that's the case. I'm kind of taking the idea that if you build it, they will come. But I need y'all's help on that. So I hope you consider taking advantage of things like consultative services and STAR site certification. But we're even growing these recognition programs in another way. So we've just started something called the Workplace Impact Network to recognize employers who go above and beyond for their employees, especially in times of crisis. The idea came from some of the great things some employers were doing out in Western North Carolina after Helene. There were folks who continued to pay their employees and give them pay and benefits even though the business was flooded and shut down for a month. New flexible work schedules, just employers doing great things. And we want to recognize employers when they do that. Now, the idea of all of these recognition programs is not that they are just a pat on the back for a job well done. Before I did the job I'm doing now as a construction lawyer, I represented almost exclusively general contractors and major trade subcontractors. You go on any big contractor's website and there's always a tab for safety. And if you look at the bottom, they'll tell you about all the different awards that they've won, whether it's for safety or not. And so I'm a big believer in that these recognition programs can be good for your bottom line. They can help you attract better employees, because people want to work in a safe environment. And they can help you market yourself to owners, especially big institutional owners want to see that you're working safely. Try to get a job at an RTP or at a university without a clean safety record. And so my belief is that by giving you positive recognition, you can grow your business and attract better talent. So it's not just a pat on the back. It is to make sure that safety helps your bottom line and helps you achieve your business goals as well. And so that's the thinking behind growing these recognition programs, not just so that it's a feel-good thing, but that it helps you grow your business as well. And I hope you take advantage of that. If you know a business that you think ought to be nominated to join the Workplace Impact Network. I hope you'll reach out to me. You can send me a text, and I'll also give you all my email real quick as well, if that's a better way to communicate. That's luke.farley@labor.nc.gov, luke.farley@labor.nc.gov, and I actually do read those emails. That's not just a auto response box. I get those, I read them, I respond to them. So any questions? Very good. Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
So with, does the consultative services, do you do that for, state companies or like, so we have a part of our company is governed by DOT and PHMSA. Does that matter?
No.
Okay.
The only thing we do not do consultative services on like military bases or any federal property. That is all handled by federal officials.
Okay. And my other question was, I know you're just getting into this role, but where does North Carolina rank from a safety standpoint against the other states?
Very good. So the key measure of workplace injuries is the incidence rate, non-fatal injuries per 100 employees. And we're well below the national average and have been for a long time. The national average, last I looked, was like 2.7. We're at a 2.1. And, my predecessor, Cherie Berry, who I think was a remarkable woman and a remarkable labor commissioner, first female labor commissioner, she cut that rate in half over her 20-year tenure. That's probably never going to be repeated. I'm not saying I can't get the injury rate lower, but to have it again is probably pretty tough. There's sort of probably a built-in level. So North Carolina is in a very good spot and has been over the last 20 years.
I would encourage you to look for zero as you go into incidents.
Right.
And you can get, how many days can you go, how many months can you go? I mean,
Sure, zero is the goal. I'm just saying, as a practical matter, I'm not sure you can get to zero.
Well, like I said, it's hard, but I've seen officers go thousands of days.
Well, this rate is the entire state of North
I
Carolina.
understand,
Yeah.
I do understand that. I'm just saying, you gotta keep
Sure.
that zero goal.
Point taken. Point taken.
So Commissioner Farley, I certainly want to thank you. I'm Ann Rushing with North Carolina 811, and Commissioner Farley is going to come out April the 23rd and sign off on our proclamation too as well at the Underground Damage Prevention Review Board meeting. So we are excited that you
I'll be
agreed.
excited to be there. Yeah.
And thank you. You've been very receptive to, doing these events, and so thank you. We look forward to what you're going to do.
Anything
for
I
us.
can do to help. Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Appreciate it.
Moving on over into reports. Anybody from North Carolina DOT? Ms. Ann?
Alrighty. All right. If we can get into slideshow here. All right, so obviously we're here in March. It's hard to believe that next month is April Safe Digging Month, right? It just seems like January 1 just started, and here we are in March. So I did want to give you guys some information just so that you'll know, effective April 1st, and we've got Lewis on. That'd be great, thank you. We do have Lewis on the call too as well. This is one of the changes that NC 811 has worked on effective April 1. Our normal operating hours are currently 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Effective April 1, our normal regular hours are going to change from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. And of course, anytime after hours, we will be taking 3-hour notices, emergencies, and reported damages. So just wanted to go ahead and get that out to you all that effective April 1, we will stop taking normal calls at 6 p.m. Any questions on that? Lewis, do you want to chime in on anything?
Just to say that, we evaluated our neighboring states and that kind of thing, looked around, and this just allows us a little more flexibility to deal with those real busy times, to hopefully, have extra bodies where we need them, still allow for breaks and be able to sort of stack up in the key periods of the day. So the board unanimously approved this once we did some research on it, and we've got the IVR changed, so we're noticing excavators when they call in that this change is going to take place. We've got it on the website. We're doing this through the UCCs, and we appreciate everybody's recognition of this, and we'll make it happen April 1.
All right, thank you so much. Just as a reminder, if you're an RTE user, obviously you can use the system 24/7. Well, let's hop into a little bit of the data insights and where we landed for February. As you see here, our locate request for the month of February was 227,223. That is a 0.3% increase compared to the same time last year. The updates, you'll notice here in the left-hand corner, we provide you that information at your local UCC so you can kind of get an idea of the amount of volume of the updates. Currently for February was 33.3%. That was a 1.3% increase compared to the month before. On average, we've been running about 32%, so that's a little bit high. Certainly, we've been working on reducing the updates in the system. We can't focus enough, especially to contractors, whether you're a member and you're doing work or you're an excavator. We really, really need you to manage those projects because that's the only way that we can reduce that noise in the system is for everyone to really plan their projects. I know I feel like a broken recorder repeating this month over month, but hopefully repetition will help you guys understand. If you can manage your projects, you're going to have easier accessibility to everyone. So attend your local UCC as well. All right, moving on to our locate request year to date. Already our volume's up 462,562. That is a 2.1% increase already over last year. So as you see, all these projects that are beginning to flow in, and we'll talk a little bit about, I usually do the top 10, but I actually pull the top 15 because there are so many companies that are obviously providing a lot of locates within the system. When we look at our transmissions from February, we were at 1.2 million transmissions. You already see that was just a 0.1% increase compared to the same time last year. So we're running, relatively, flat there. But when we look at our year-to-date transmissions, we are up 1.8%. Already we're at 2.5 million transmissions year-to-date. So once again, we're still on average about 5.4 transmissions per ticket. But, obviously depends on where you're working at. If you're working in the city of Raleigh downtown, you may have 6, 7, maybe even 8 members that you're locating for. So busy, busy times. All right. So what I pulled for you all was the top, well, as I said, top 15 callers. And this is from across the state. So just wanted to kind of show you the amount of, number one, amount of fiber work going on. And certainly, there's a multitude of things. As you see, AT&T Utility Operations led the tickets for February. And they are, they work for themselves, that operations side, working on buried drops. Southeast Connections, they are a contractor that works for both Piedmont Natural Gas and Enbridge. So, they're going to be installing gas. Prince Telecom, they're a contractor working for Google. So you see they were number 3. RG Communications, They are a contractor that specifically works for Spectrum Place and Drops. That's the multitude of those tickets that we've seen there. And as I said, Court, you guys are, up in that top 5 list. ITS, you guys are, obviously working for quite a bit of contractors, Enbridge, Verizon, Charter. I mean, the list was many, so I didn't include all of them. But you see, they did place 2,741 tickets. So appreciate you being here today representing. Piedmont Utility Group, Focus Broadband and TEP, placing conduit. ITG, Spectrum, doing drops. J&J Utilities, they're a Lumos contractor, placing fiber for Lumos. DN Underground, they work for Brightspeed, MCNC, Lumos, fiber install. ULCS, they are a Duke contractor, installing anything from poles to overhead, so a lot of different things that they're doing. Lambert's Cable Splicing, they're working on the Brightspeed projects, and they're doing buried drops and main cable. Metrotech, doing work for Spectrum. And I want to kind of stop here and just remind you all, one of the things that we noticed as I was looking at Metrotech, when you're using RTE, it's really important that you place the work done for correctly. So if you're working, say you're a contractor working for Brightspeed, you need to put work done for Brightspeed, not I'm the contractor doing work for myself. So that helps us kind of know who you're working for, and if we need a touch point down the road, we know exactly who that is. Hyper Networks, doing work for Google and Ripple. Once again, fiber conduit. Phoenix Fiber, Frontier, Google, Duke, placing conduit for fiber. And then, of course, ANSCO coming in at number 15. AT&T, and I know we got Tim here representing. They landed rounded out our top 15. So as you see, a lot of fiber work going on. Not to mention, there's just a ton of infrastructure work going on. Any questions on that? Certainly, as you go to your local UCCs, you're going to see the top 10 within your local UCC. As we move along to damages, once again, as we talked about, we're always wanting to reduce damages, 50 and 5. The more you can attend these local UCC meetings, that's doing your part. That's the communication end of it. Here is the map, as you can see on the county's damages per 1,000 transmissions. So if you see your county and kind of see where you landed, it's always great to take a look at the damages per 1,000. So doesn't always necessarily mean it's a bad thing, but as you see, green is good, yellow's getting, they're in the middle, cautious, and then red, that means you have a higher damage per 1,000 transmission ratio. Oh, I'm sorry, Lewis. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're fine. I just raised my hand. Howard is all over it.
Yeah, I can't see that part.
No, it's fine. It's a little hand that just pops up. No, I wanted to point out that when we talk about these damages per 1,000 and we talk about what's reported into the national system on behalf of North Carolina, we're doing some evaluation right now on specifically Wake County and Mecklenburg County. Those two counties are represented in the CGA index in Group 10, which is the largest population of damages because it's basically these are counties that have the highest urban concentration. They have the most amount of excavation type companies there and medium precipitation. So the reason I say all that is because we're comparing the rate of change of damages per 1,000 transmissions for those two counties to the top 10, because we are in the top 10 of that group, to the top 10 in other states. And that's going to include Dallas. I mean, we talk about metro areas, you're talking about Atlanta, Philadelphia, Nashville. I mentioned Dallas. Trying to think of Chicago. We're going to be looking at how the rate of change damages has changed over the course of the last 3 years. Once we have all that information, we're gathering it up now. Once we have it all together, I'm putting together a paper on this, a little white paper, that will explain some of the things that impact this, some of the where we land in there for ourselves, but also what types of activities help to bring down these damages per thousand. What the ultimate goal, of course, for the CGA is 50 and 5. I heard it mentioned when Luke was there that, look, the ultimate goal for safety is 0 injuries, right? The ultimate goal for us would be 0 damages, but it's impractical. But we can certainly shoot for the moon and say we're trying to get to a 50% reduction in 5 years. That first year of measurement, they dropped 6 points according to the DIRT study. So, we've still got work to do, but I just wanted to bring this up. This is really important, and it's a really important gauge as to how we're doing within the state. Measuring against ourselves, and also how our major counties are performing against other similar counties that meet a similar profile in the country.
Thanks, Lewis. Any questions
you.
for Lewis on that? He has been working really hard on all that data. As you're kind of looking at that map and you see some of those counties that are white, that means they did not represent that there were any damages. Do you guys believe that that's true? Yeah, there's kind of a chuckle. So once again, just as a reminder, it's so very important that those damages be reported so that we can look at that data and kind of determine what the cause is coming from, the root cause. So we really need you to do your part. The next slide, just to kind of give you an idea of where our damages are trending. Last month, it was actually higher than the January in 2024. So we had 1,012 that were reported. February, we made a nice decline. So, my hope is that we're going to really follow that trend line. So, absolutely, as you said, Court, we want to get to 0. It's least amount of damages as possible. As I mentioned, Safe Digging Month is next month. We've got a lot of tools for you. We've got anything from social media to web banners to we've got a whole toolkit for you. So if you guys want to, be a partner with us, I've got the link here, nc811.org. If you go out to our website under education, you'll find our campaigns and it'll take you directly to our National Safe Digging Month. Once again, we are super excited that Commissioner Farley agreed to come out and be a part of our celebration for Safe Digging Month. And so once again, if we can get folks really buying into the whole damage prevention and safety, then it only adds to reducing those damages. We do have a contest going right now, so I would encourage you, if you've got the 811 app, open it up. We've got that on there. You can dare to dig. I encourage you, and I dare you to dig, because if you should miss, you're going to get some education until you actually find the pot of gold, and then we are going to register you into a $300 giveaway. If you've got your camera, you're welcome to open it up and scan our QR code. And that contest does run through the end of April. And then we will be giving away that $300. So I dare you to dig. Awesome. Well, our banners are in. As you see here, these are our new 2025 banners. I do have one right here on the floor so you can see what it looks like. And I brought a couple of boxes here. So if you're interested in your free banner, after the meeting, feel free to come up. I'm just going to ask you to just sign off that you picked it up. But once you take it, that QR code, I need you to scan it because that tells us where it's at. And then we're going to be able to document around the state where that message is at. And certainly we're going to look at to say, hey, is this helping to reduce damages? Is it getting the message out? Also, this is our billboard too as well. Our partners that are on there are, obviously our pipeline operators. Nuka is a part of that. Williams, Piedmont, Enbridge, and Nuka. So, and Charter. So we appreciate all those partnerships to help us with our billboards. Do want to share with you once again, we do have a grant program. If any of your companies maybe have some vehicles in your fleet that are in the fleet anywhere from 3 to 5 years, we would love to offer you a tailgate wrap. We'll pay up to $225 per tailgate wrap, and that typically pretty much covers the cost of it. I think right now we've got about 24 more left as it just rolled out, but just, want to encourage you, if you're interested, talk to your local liaison, which we do have Howard with us here today from the East. And then, of course, you can scan that QR code. So encourage you to be a part of damage prevention, because that message does roll up and down the road 24/7. Another great program that we're offering is up to $10,000 for our water tank grant. Currently, we have three water tanks around the state. And we want to encourage, if you know a city or a county that could benefit, maybe they're in the time frame of painting their water tank, we would love to know, because we are going to offer up $10,000 to do that tank painting. And then typically those stay up anywhere from 7 to 8 years. And that message is, everybody going past it is seeing that message. Once again, the Colonial Tank Farms that's over in Greensboro, those are over 14 million eyes a year that see that. Excuse me, I'm sorry, 144 million eyes a year. So we look at the traffic counts to determine, where we want to put those. Currently, we have one on 40 up in Iredell County or Iredell Water. We've got Brunswick County Water, and that is off of 74. Highway 17, I'm sorry, not 74, Highway 17. And then we have one over in Caldwell County. No, excuse me, Cleveland County. So with that, once again, if you know someone, let us know. We've already talked about the joint UCC. There's the QR code. If you want to go directly to it, you can start registering. And then just to provide you a little bit about some of our upcoming meetings. Next week, we will be meeting in Greensboro for our Locate Resolution Partnership Committee. We do focus a lot on the updates there, but we want to hear those concerns. So if you can't join us live, you have the opportunity to join online. So we'd encourage you to do that. Also, April 25th, if you would like to attend our NC 811 board meeting, basically you're going to get a State of the Union from Lewis. We would appreciate your attendance there, and it will be at Chatola Resort. All right, once again, all of our calendars that are out there. You've got the app. You can go to NC 811. I would encourage you to attend. We are going to kick up a lot of events for April. Bowman Gray's kicking up, so we'll be out there. We'll be out at the Charlotte Checkers with Piedmont Natural Gas. So we got a lot of events going on for April. With that, there's our team. If you've not had the chance to meet Rory, he is our new Western liaison. He resides over in the Waynesville area, so I would encourage you to kind of get to know him. And of course, Howard here is out east. So this is our team. Anything we can do to help you, please let us know. Any questions? Otherwise, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, I'll tell you thank you, because I deal with North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Mississippi. North Carolina 811 by far is on top of their game compared to those other three states.
Thank you so much.
NLRPC,
Lewis, do you want to give an LRPC update or?
Yeah, I guess because Dan's not here, right? He's not in the room.
Correct.
So yeah, so the LRPC. So again, as Ann mentioned, this group is really about trying to identify trends. It's one of the reasons we started looking at top 10 ticket providers, but we also look at update tickets that are coming from companies that are indicating work is going to take a day or less, but they've been updating the tickets more than twice. Um, that to us represents perhaps a process problem. We've had some success with getting in front of those companies alongside the companies that they're typically contracting for to try to understand the disconnect between field activity and ticket creation. Those kind of things obviously create a drag on the whole process in general. So when we talk about we talk about things like noise in the system, all of those types of drags increases the chance that your work's not going to start on time because you're going to be delayed from locates and that kind of thing. So we try to really work on identifying who we might be able to speak to on that, and what we can do to try to help fix the process if it's broken in some way. But again, we meet. There'll be a virtual link as well. We'll be meeting at the event center, and if you have an interest in this concept of trending and where we see damages happening and where we see process improvements possibly, please do. We welcome you and ask you to attend.
Thanks, Louis. North Carolina Utilities Commission. This Ocean Department of Labor, we just took care of those. So that's a first. We checked that box.
Yes.
Electric and power companies. I always get this one messed up. The NCC, Common Ground Alliance. There you go.
Number 6.
Okay, Common Ground Alliance. I guess that's me. This is Lewis, and essentially, up. Everybody's got to stand up. You got your 30 minutes. All right, I'm going to stand up too. Oh man, what a stretch. So, Common Ground Alliance, we are actually having a conference. They're having their 25th anniversary conference in Orlando in April, coming up next month. We will be there with several of our folks. In addition to the recognition of 25 years, they're doing sort of a Back to the Future theme. We will have a table with some historical information about going back to 1978, where ULOCO was formed. I think we have a copy of the very first ticket that was ever produced. We've got a bunch of different kind of memorabilia stuff up through the years, how North Carolina 811 came to be, essentially, from ULOCO. On that note as well, we'll be celebrating 50 years in a couple of 2 more years. So it's just something to think about. In fact, South Carolina celebrates it the same year as us. So I talked to Misty about trying to do something jointly on that. But other than that, the CGA is working obviously on best practices, identifying best practices, and we are also working on damages and the dirt report. So I highly encourage folks to, if you can come to that conference, come on down. If you can come and sit in on some of those committee meetings, they do not hold any of those virtual, but you'll learn a lot about sort of the national look at all of this damage prevention. So, highly encourage you if you can make it out there. Happy to take any questions. And Ann, do we have best practices documents or books there that we can, do we ever bring to the state? I know we can request those.
Yeah, actually, I just received an email from them requesting those. So,
Okay, perfect.
so yes, we will. I'll make sure we get some. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. And that's the CGA update.
Thanks, Louis. Engineering and design. Equipment manufacturers.
We're with the dealership group. I guess the only thing that I would say is I've had an opportunity to go around the past few months and be in some meetings with a variety of stakeholders in the infrastructure side of the business in particular. And I would assume most people in this room are potentially hearing the same thing about what's coming towards the latter half of this year and over the next several years. I mean, even players like Amazon or a variety of others have visited our manufacturing company, and what they're predicting due to these data centers and some build outs to get the information out there is going to be bigger than what we've seen over the last several years. I mean, they're telling us that we need to start ramping up because we won't be able to produce enough machines, for one, to be able to handle the load that they think is coming over the next several years. I mean, the two Microsoft bought part of 3 Mile Island to be able to guarantee that they're going to have enough power to power their data centers. So a lot of great indicators for what's coming down the line in power infrastructure as well as broadband infrastructure and then water, sewer, I mean, all the other things that come along with it. So a lot of great indicators, but it's also kind of running right in where they feel as though there's going to be some labor issues due to some of the immigration policies that are coming up. So, you know, the one thing that we would ask as equipment manufacturers or equipment distributors is that we stay in close contact with each other and try to stay ahead of this thing as much as we can as we try to provide machines that enhance your labor, right? I mean, you guys are going to have to be more productive than ever, not only with the current labor pool that you have, but potentially a smaller labor pool into the future because of some of the headwinds that are coming our way. So we're excited, you know, from an equipment distributor and manufacturing level of what's coming down the line, and just look forward to continuing to communicate and partner with you guys to make sure that we're doing our part. Keep everybody safe and productive out there.
What are you guys seeing in parts right now?
Sorry?
Parts. I know we're starting to struggle with parts.
Yeah, so on the supply side of things, that's what you're, you know, kind of getting at. We are starting to see things level off there, you know. So as most manufacturers out there, they really enhance their procurement team and look for more channels to say, okay, who else can we go to that the specs meet the same? And so we're just opening up more channels because we've learned a lot, you know, through the pandemic and supply chain issues. Tariffs are a worry, to be quite honest with you. You know, we're hoping that is more of a bargaining tool and will be a temporary thing, but that is going to put some pressures on, you know, sourcing more locally for some of the things that we get overseas. Chips, you know, that go into some of the computers or the remote controls are going to continue to be something that we have to be cognizant of, but they're starting to find some more sourcing for that. But back to your original question, from a part standpoint, we are starting to see a little bit of a build out in shorter time frame and being able to get parts for any number of these.
Just kind of piggyback on the data centers. I was in Houston 2 or 3 weeks ago with a company that does nothing but studies data centers. It was just amazing that one data center, and they're putting 50, 60 of these things in when they build them. One data center can power 900 homes for 1 week. That's the amount of power of one, not the whole center, one of the little buildings or whatever you want to call them. To me, that was just amazing. And that's why the solar farms are coming, and we're just seeing, you know, the increase in rates and everything. It's amazing.
Access to water is going to be important. I mean, what's coming? I mean, they're already putting over $500 billion worth of private money in, and that's just the beginning. That's on top of the RDOF, the BEAD, you know, the IIJA, any other thing that you see out there. Google and some of the others have dedicated at least $500 billion in the short term.
I think Apple, something I read today, was 528.
Yeah. So they're all going to be competing with each other to make sure that they're on the leading edge of this AI technology. So not to take up too much oxygen, I apologize, but it's something that's going to have a positive impact on everybody in this room.
Any other equipment manufacturers? Excavation and contractors. We're busy as everybody else is. I mean, it's crazy. I know they argued with me this morning trying to get more trucks because short trucks, because they have 5 jobs on a schedule. They're trying to get covered for tomorrow already. So
yeah, it's busy. There's not a slow point that's been happening this year. 2025 has kicked off. It's we're trying our best. we're utilizing other territories as well. To make ends meet, to make sure everybody gets the non-destructive excavation they need.
Insurance. Locators and locate companies.
It is extremely busy, to say the least. The biggest thing that we're seeing that's kind of holding us up is that we're having contractors call in 300-400 tickets in a day, and they can only do 20. Okay, so that has bogged down the system, and now making things look a lot worse than what they really are. So if we can definitely call in what we need only, then we can attack that and send groups to attack that immediately versus we're waiting because we're bogged down with so many locate requests at one time. So that would be helpful for us mostly.
Y'all have a seat, if Dan was here for help, y'all have a seat at the locate resolution partnership?
I believe we do.
Yes,
Yeah.
we encourage participation. Chris Russ comes, but still, we need some boots on the ground.
Right.
Any other locators? Locating companies? Gas companies, gas pipeline.
We're here, we don't have really anything to report.
Good.
Our last promise earlier, followed up on the P15 project, it's 45-mile cross country with 29 road crossings. In fact, Rockingham, Caswell, Hurricane County. So that'll be coming. And the M71 project, I was speaking of, 25-mile project in Rowan and Cabarrus County. That's a little over 60% completed. But be looking for that P15.
Anybody else? Moving on to oil and oil pipeline. Private water. Anybody from Public Works? You need to say way more, it makes my job easier to do it like that.
Yeah.
Railroad. Cable TV, telecommunication. Emergency services. Local UCC.
Hey, this is Scott with the Foothills UCC. We're having our contractor awareness breakfast April 1st. So that's on the calendar. So just want to make everybody aware of that.
Commander.
Yeah, Wake County UCC will be here the last Tuesday in the month at 11 o'clock.
Last Tuesday of the month at 11. Locally. Anybody else?
Since I'm here from the east, I'll throw this out, just sort of generally from sort of I-95 to the Outer Banks, is they're experiencing a lot of what everybody else is, although they may not be Wake counties in the east, but if you've only got 4 employees in a company and you have a bunch of new companies coming in, installing utilities, which is good because they're providing service to people that may not otherwise have it, or they're giving them a choice, that's still overwhelming, because if you're the locator and you also cut the grass at City Hall, it makes it a little challenging for them. So they're going through some growing pains as well, but they're learning to communicate. Locators can be your best friend or your worst enemy, right? So they're learning, hey, trying to work with contractors, and contractors are learning to work with their locators, and that's encouraging to see that happen.
I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
In meetings like this.
In Mecklenburg County, honestly, we're just as busy as Wake County is. We've had some issues with unlocatables and things not being located on time, and contractors that was having those issues. Y'all had a meeting about that, and contractors is able to communicate right with the locators now, and that has seemed to work out pretty good. Stuff starting to be located more in a timely manner. So
non-locatables is actually picked up being located.
Good, good. Any other UCCs? Well, as we mentioned several times, the next meeting is May 14th and 16th. It's a state joint conference.
I'm sure Lewis probably wants to give an update of the law, but do you want to look at the folks online?
Yeah, I can make this relatively quick. There is a House bill. The House bill is out into committee. It has been filed. We had a large group of stakeholders working in tandem, probably had about 10 meetings over the course of the last 12 months. But we've also got a Senate bill that is heading for filing now. It's basically a mirror bill of the other. I'm not 100% sure how this works, where you've got two bills coming in from either side, but I know there'll be a crossover at some point. The most important thing to understand about the new bill, a couple of key things. One of them is it's going to extend the ticket life. So from 15 working days to 28 calendar days. That's a pretty significant thing. We think that'll help with some of this update percentage, cut down on some of this. The excavators will still be, responsible for maintaining their marks through that 28 days. The other thing is that those 28 days start from the work date, not the ticket issuance. So the 3 full working days that are still afforded to the operators to respond actually back up to the work date, not the time that the ticket is issued. And we'll do a lot of communication around the state with calendars and demonstrating, this is when you would call in for this work and that kind of thing. There'll be no front end on that. So, as long as except for 3 full working days, you have to allow before the work, you can back that up and say, create your tickets 12 days earlier. But then the operators will have that 3 full business day period prior to the start of the work. So those are some significant changes that will come down, and we're looking at an effective date of October 1 for that. We do anticipate there's several other pieces to this, but one of them that was just brought up is, this overuse, requests of tickets where the work's not actually going to be performed during that time. The way the law exists today, pretty much that's unenforceable. So we had a complaint come in years ago where someone said, look, we've got this ticket. These people aren't even going to start work. And that seems unfair. Like they requested this ticket. But because the way the statute is today, it basically says that you have an intent to excavate. And so you make that notice. And having an intent is pretty broad. It could be interpreted any number of ways, and the review board really didn't have any way to challenge that. But we are adding some language around this for the excavator expectation. This is to cut out jobs that are being called in after the work's complete, jobs that are being called in way in advance or for areas that they're not going to be working, so that gives some recourse to people who might want to who might feel that they should file a complaint, for example. And in the past, as I said, that was non-enforceable, but I think this isn't going to impact excavation where it hasn't been completely accepted by the municipality or the DOT. That's one of the caveats onto that. There's a whole series of various stuff that goes along with enforcement in there, but those are primarily administrative, and in nature, kind of things about holding informal hearings versus a formal hearing if somebody were to request it. We've got a piece in there about soft dig technologies as an acceptable means of exposing the facility. So we're definitely recognizing the importance of water and air excavation for that purpose, and so we actually are adding a definition in there for safety technologies. We're pretty excited about where we're going with this. I can tell you that there was a lot of kicking around about white lining. and whether it should be made 100% mandatory, either physically or electronically. There seemed to be an appetite for that for if there was an electronic component, but today we don't actually have that in place. But I can tell you that we have included language about electronic white lining to be in preparation for that when it is available with our new system that should be online later this year. And we'll give people a chance to play with it, work with it, smell it, touch it, feel it. I can tell you, I had a look at it just a few days ago. They gave us a demo of how this is going to look and function, and it's really going to be helpful. I mean, if you're working in the front of the property, you can see an ortho. You can say, okay, yeah, I'm going to put this tree here. I'm going to do this over here. This should cut down on some of the, time that the locators spend out there rushing around looking for stuff when that can be transmitted along with the map. So a lot of good stuff coming around the bend. Stay tuned. We'll let you guys know when this law passes and with an effective date of looking at October 1. And just a huge thank you to everybody who participated in getting this done, and both to the senator and the representative. We've extended an invitation for both of them to join us at that safe digging proclamation in conjunction with the review board at the events center. And we'll see if they're able to make it out for that. But any questions about that for me before I pass it back on to the rest of the crew here online? All right, I guess that lunch is smelling pretty good back there.
Yes, it is. All right, thanks. Okay. Oh, thank Enbridge again for hosting this as well as lunch. Guys, that's a wrap for us. Sandra?
Andy's restaurant has catered for us. On that back table, those hands on the end on salads. Everything else. Having said that, and if you'll ask,
Do you want to dismiss them first?
That's fine, yeah.
All right, all you folks that are online, appreciate you joining today, and stay tuned.